Today, we have the business that won the largest amount of money, $125,000, Thomas.
I've been challenged a lot in the business world for taking that on. Initially, our motto was slow organic growth. Now it's strategic organic growth.
What led you to launch Jersey Scoops?
What inspired us was that we had milk. That was mentioned. You should just do some ice cream, be the Ben and Jerry's of the West Coast. Everything said, don't do it. Just don't even think about it. It takes a lot to run a family operation. The more I know, the less I know.
Thomas, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you,
It's
Andrew.
great to have you on today.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm doing really well. I've had a pretty crazy week, and as far as timeline is concerned, I'm ready to ramp up for some spring and summer sales.
Oh, yeah. No, so you just won the Startup Humboldt competition. For anyone who doesn't know, the Startup Humboldt competition was actually, you explain it.
The Startup Humboldt
But
competition.
before you do, sorry. We'll touch on that later. This is just for a backstory right now.
Yeah.
So what is it?
The Startup Humboldt competition is a competition in Humboldt County, and it is a competition that is $200,000 of milestone-based funding provided to what ended up being 5 different businesses. And today we have the business that won the largest amount of money, $125,000, with us today, Thomas.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the big win.
Yeah, congratulations, man.
Thank you. It was
Super exciting.
hard fought.
Yeah. Let's kick it off with where you started. And it looks like you started off here in rural Oregon. So how did farm life in rural Oregon prepare you for your agricultural career in Humboldt?
Yeah, I super wish that I was with my husband here to do this together, but it doesn't seem like we're ever in the same place at the same time. So happy to share a little bit about both, but starting with myself, I came from Northeast Oregon, in a place very similar to this, actually, in so many ways, as far as where I am in Ferndale and where I grew up. In Union, Oregon, but adjacent in a bedroom community to a college town and university. And my dad was a part of public works. My mom was a school teacher for 36 years. So been indebted in community service in so many different ways for many generations. And a huge part of my life actually was 4-H. So I pledged my head to clearer thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health for better living, for my club, my community, my country, my world. That's 4 generations of our family teaching the next generation of that's the way to live. So very much enveloped in everything that we do and everything we continue to teach with our son, who's the 5th generation. Yeah, 5th? Yeah, 5th generation going for it, at least in the 4-H program.
Yeah. So how did you and Cody meet? What was that story like?
Yeah. So
Shout out Cody, by the way.
Yeah, he's truly the champion. I can just speak pretty well sometimes. So we met in La Grande, Oregon, so just a little ways away, about 15 minutes away from my home. And I was finishing up, I think, with an interview at a Starbucks. And one of my friends, who was his polo, like horse polo, team member, was there, and we said hi. Oh, hey, how you doing? And she's from the area. And Cody was there on his first year of college and my senior year of high school. And so we met each other, and then at that point it was MySpace. And so we actually kept track of each other on MySpace for 10 years. And then it's been, another 10 years, and we've been together for that long.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Lots of time in between. I mean, I went to Denver. He went down to Weed, California, and ran a large meat agritourism company.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So
on the poultry side.
what led you to study in Denver? And you studied business there. Tell me about that experience.
Yeah. Well, what really led me there was a full tuition scholarship. I was super excited about that. I participated in FBLA, so Future Business Leaders of America. And that was a pivotal experience in my life to see people that really enveloped that entrepreneurial spirit and that business mindset and drive I certainly didn't have the acumen that I do now, or even thought that I would even want to inquire about when it came to business and numbers and funding. But at that time, when I was a senior in high school, I was the vice president, Western Region vice president for FBLA. So I represented a little over 350,000 students in that organization, and traveled all across the United States, going to different conferences and doing keynote speeches, providing workshops and demonstrations, doing one-on-one mentorship, leading our team in communications and planning for our region. So that really led me to Johnson & Wales University because of the work that I did there and the exemplary opportunity that they provided. I was able to continue to benefit from that. So that was 4 years of my life that was well spent. And I really appreciated being able to go to the big city and experience that for a while, because I thought I was a city boy. Turns out I'm not.
Yeah, so
I do enjoy it, but
yeah, speaking of not being a city boy, neither of us are either. What brought you here to Humboldt County?
yeah. Well, love, really, truly. So knowing who Cody was and us following along with each other and our friends for about that entire time, 10 years of us knowing each other, consistently telling us that we needed to at least get to know each other more, not just as friends. We really thought, okay, well, this is real, I guess. It's been 10 years, people telling us we needed to get to know each other. We were both in relationships at different times, so it didn't ever work out really fair. But it came to a point where his polo coach said, enough's enough, you're both single, figure it out. And so we started to really start talking, and he came to visit a few times. I came down to visit here in Humboldt and just fell in love. And fell in love with Cody and the family and this place. I actually remember coming through Lady Bird Johnson and coming through Jedediah Smith, Redwood State Park, and just bawling my eyes out because the emotional impact of these giant redwoods, seeing them for the first time was just so amazing. So it was a pivotal experience, but that's really what brought me here was love.
So he lived here in Humboldt the whole time?
So yeah, he went to school back in Oregon, where I was from, for 4 years, then moved to Weed, California for a few, and then came back home to the family dairy.
Okay.
And that's when I decided, about the same time as when I decided to move down here.
Yeah. So tell me more about that, because on your guys' about page on your website, the farm has been in whose family for 100 years?
Yeah, his family for 100 years.
And you helped him take on that role of that next generation, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we still work with his mom and dad, and Grandpa actually is still on the farm every day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, at 80 here in July, so he's still participating. Once in motion, always in motion.
Good for him.
That's right. Keep it up though. You don't stop, right? But yeah, we've taken over the part of managing the operation on the business end, so that everyone else can focus on the actual farming end, because that's the plight, is needing to do the maintenance and the chores and everything that is required to keep the farm physically operational. And then when you don't have that extra set of hands, or you have someone that's 80 that needs to be doing less and taking care of their grandkids or hanging out or going on a cruise or something, you need a little bit more help. So that's where I came in on the business end with a business administration degree and marketing degree. But that didn't come until we started doing Foggy Bottoms Boys.
Okay, so it was love that brought you to Humboldt County.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what's making us stick around.
Yeah, that's what made us stay.
We found love in Humboldt County as well, and we're just I guess we're sticking around.
Yeah, I met my girlfriend the fourth day I moved here, and he met his girlfriend a few months.
We got together right after graduation.
Wow.
Yeah.
And and
Just
so
been here ever since.
So it's that if it sometimes and it's the story of a lot of folks around here. They find love here and they end up staying, and then they don't go to wherever they came from.
No,
they go back to where they came from.
And it's easy to fall in love with the place.
Totally,
right?
It's beautiful. And so you're here and you decide to launch Foggy Bottom Boys.
Yeah.
And tell me about the transition from running a farm to Foggy Bottom Boys. What's that difference? What's that transition like?
Yeah, great question. I would say it was a daily transition, and it still actively is a transition. And in that case, the beginnings of Foggy Bottoms Boys actually launched in August 27th, 2016 is when we officially actually launched Foggy Bottoms Boys. It was actually a social media handle, just kind of talking about our daily life and what we do as farmers as a way and an expression of sharing with folks what it takes to be an active farmer. And I at the time was working for UC Cooperative Extension as the program representative for 4-H. So I worked for 4-H too. I wasn't just an active volunteer and a member. But then when I moved here and started working between here in Humboldt and in Del Norte, running that program for about 4 years, we decided that we wanted to grow our family, and to be able to do that, we needed to have more time. And so, of course, you lean further into starting your own business because that creates more time, right? Falsehoods.
Go from making $4,000 a month to $40 a month.
That's right. That's about right. And ultimately, what I did is started working for the fairgrounds, and that did provide quite a bit of time for us to be able to do all the courses and classes, to be able to become foster parents, or what we call resource parents in California. And that allows you to do one of two tracks, either to be a foster parent and to then be able to adopt, which is what we did, or just foster or just adopt. And in our case, we were willing and open to both. Speaking of community, that is one thing that a group of people helped change in the legislature and in practice, but it took about 10 years. It was two different tracks, even though they were the same things. You had to do two separate things. So if you wanted to foster and then adopt that kid, you had to go through the exact same thing all over again.
Really?
Yeah. So they combine the two, and that's what resource families are. So
that's good.
Making change.
Yeah. So what put you guys in a position to be able to foster a kid or foster a kid?
Mm-hmm.
And because for us, for example, we might not want to have kids until we're a little older, until we're in more of a stable position. And I know that you can never be ready for kids. So what was the right moment for you guys to be able to take that next step and foster a child?
Yeah. Well, ultimately, in all the combinations of starting a brand and a business name, multiple brands, as of this case, really what it was about the daily schedule for farming, because it's every day, 365, no matter what. And what we saw in the timeline for us was not what it ended up working out to be. So from day one of starting the process, it took 9 months before we had our first placement opportunity. And that was because they knew we wanted to have an infant to be able to engage with early on in early stages of life, and then to be able to adopt. So it really narrowed down the opportunity for young folks to adopt. We got asked all the time, because there is a huge need in Humboldt especially, to be able to have foster and a lot of emergency placement. And we just kept holding out for an infant, certainly knowing that if we took on an emergency case and something else came up that was more aligned with our timeline and our needs, then we couldn't pivot, and that we couldn't have two people at once. It was too much that we could already kind of anticipate. And thank you, Grandma Helene, for being afternoon childcare for a very long time.
That's so cool.
Great grandma, actually. And so it was a combination of things. And we talked to family and share hey, this is what's going on. This is what we're going to need. And it was very supported at that case. As of right now, we're only having one child.
I was just about to ask. That was my follow-up. What you guys ever plan on having more kids?
Yeah. It's interesting, because if you consider the amount of time that it takes to operate something, our son, teeny farmer, or Silas, probably is about the same amount of time daily as it is to operate any one business venture.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot.
What's the split for the business? So what is operations, farming, and taking care of your kid?
Great question. So for us, we realized that we wanted to own into each other's strengths and allow for those things to grow and develop and blossom. while we were encouraging and learning and educating ourselves on the other's weaknesses. And in the case of what I had in the bag was an education with a degree in marketing and business, and that mindset of people want and need things as a problem, and you need to solve them. That's the core of what commerce is, right? And in that case, as a product to sell, we didn't really have a product other than eggs at the point when we started. I showed up in Humboldt with a 1992 Ford Explorer with a sawed-off 1984 Aloha trailer with a 1952 Honda motorcycle and 5 chickens, and whatever else I could throw in there, a cat and a dog.
Your eggs are really good, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. It all stems from that beginning. Selling to program advisors and other folks in the cooperative extension office with chickens, and then slowly getting a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger. But to your question, really for us, as far as the time and split, we share those responsibilities. Cody does the farm work. I do the business work, and I support both the farm itself as the farm, which is Nicholson Livestock, and that's the 100-year-old farm that holds the dairy entity and the beef as well. So we do have beef, and that's about 85 cow-calf pair on the beef side, and then about 85 cows on the dairy side, and about 100 young stock on the dairy and the beef side as well. And then about 1,500 chickens we have at any one point in time. But that's really Cody's responsibility. And then if I need to fill in or support or add additional resources in some way, that's where I fill in. But as of me being sick this weekend, Cody came in and finished up my deliveries for me and made that happen. So we support each other, but most importantly, it's understanding and communicating as a business partner back and forth with one another. So here's this scope of the finances, and this is what's happening. So we have our weekly meeting where we sit down and talk about the details and go through and hash out the qualities and the values of what we're trying to consistently achieve and hit. And then what are the deficits? What are the things that we're missing that's not helping us and enabling us to make those commitments? And then as far as our son, it's just constantly. Yeah. Thank God for Rio Del School. Yeah, they do a great job of giving him socialization and communication and some skill sets working with community.
Would you consider that to be like you guys take on as close to a 50-50 as possible? Or is it more like...
Sure. I mean, it's not like we have to physically say it. Sometimes we do, but it's like what do you got left? Do you got 20% to hash this out with me left? You got 0? Are you in a negative? If you're in a negative, can I help, produce your positive value? So it's constantly ebbing and flowing.
And you have family too. So, there's I mean, to run a business or raise a child, for either of those two, it's something that you can't do like completely alone. No, it takes a team. It takes a village.
Yeah.
And so on the business side, it takes you've created a team, and that team has allowed you to succeed. Tell me about some of the challenges that come along with managing a team versus being just doing your own day-to-day work.
Yeah, great question. You said something that kind of hit for me, which I really appreciate you sharing, which I don't think about often, is, we created a team. And doing that in a very short period is pretty fascinating, just to look back on how quick and some of the turnover that's happened, and most all in a very positive way, where people that are working with you are there for the period of time in which they are, planned or unplanned, and then they continue to go on and do the great things that they need to do and accomplish in life. And that's how we actually start the conversation with anyone that we start a relationship with, is that we have that in mind. What are your goals? What is it that you want to accomplish? For the time that you were with us, we want you to help us achieve our goals, and in that time, we hope that we can assume some of that responsibility in helping you achieve yours, whether or not that's a skill set development that you can grow while you're with us, or something that you wanted to accomplish while being present in a part of our team that you want to take ownership for. So a lot of that, in a democratic sense, is helping others see what they want to achieve, or even seeing that they want to achieve something and setting those goals and creating those things. And And I think it's an important part of that relationship to reveal that up front, is that, and it's constantly challenging, right? Like, it's not like we can give everybody exactly what they want, and including job responsibilities and titles and pay for that matter, because it takes a lot to see what's coming and what isn't. And to be that point person is an extremely challenging part. But when it comes to being able to balance those things and being able to produce a team that does the work, really physically does the work, it's SOPs and standard operational procedures and frameworks that not are my responsibility, but the person that are doing them. So the ultimate goal for me when managing other businesses and being a part of corporate environments like Starbucks was seeing the value in those training programs, seeing the value in that framework and setting up those standard operating procedures, and then reflecting on what's the modern day spin. And so for us, it's providing folks the time and opportunity to take what SOP was written for them that we created initially together, and then having them update them based upon the current standards, practices, environment, whatever it is that is required to make them successful, and whoever fills in their role next.
So you learn the process. You've done the process yourself. You wrote an SOP on how you can do the process.
Yep.
You've shared and trained it with others so that they can do it, without your guidance.
That's right.
Now that offers you opportunity in time to pursue other ventures, which enters Jersey Scoops.
That's right. That's
What led you to launch Jersey Scoops? What inspired you to do so?
Yeah. So to your last question, what inspired us was that we had milk. I mean, really 10 years ago, when I pulled up with that 1992 Ford Explorer, I saw this beautiful milk barn and this beautiful pasture and these beautiful cows, and thought, dang, if I'm ever going to be a business person, we've got the milk, let's do something with it. And it had, among our family and our friend circle, it was mentioned, you should just do some ice cream, be the Ben & Jerry's of the West Coast. And we thought, okay, that's fun. And so every now and then we'd go to a meeting for the industry, and someone would say, oh, this is how hard this is, or this is how much money this costs, or this is my current regulatory challenge in this space. These are my current supply chain needs that are being unmet over here. And everything said, don't do it. Just don't even think about it. But ultimately, what we know and is part of our life, and I think you'll get to some of these questions, is it takes a lot to run a family operation. And in our case, it's not a gift. This is something you have to either buy into or put your blood, sweat, tears, and effort into. And in our case, it wasn't an equity opportunity. We needed to work together to actually solve for the previous generation's retirement. And so that's part of what we're doing. And then the other part of it is that we have the farm and the land component that we're still working with Ag Credit as a part of our debt service. So our goal is actually to eliminate that and stop that cycle so that we can continue the growth of abundance, not only just for our family, but for 30, 40 other families in our area, to be able to provide living wage jobs appropriate with the current factors and being able to live.
I think you recently won $125K with the Startup Humboldt competition.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks.
I think that one of the big factors in the competition that the judges were looking at was the story. Who is this person? How did they get to where they are now? And when I hear your story, I can totally understand why you won, because you have, there's the deep roots in Humboldt, and then there's that desire to scale up and think bigger.
Yeah.
And so those two components alone, put you in a very favorable position. And a favorable position to grow into a large business that creates lots of jobs and opportunity for the people of this county.
Yeah.
And I think that's ultimately what they want to see, and I can definitely see it happening with Jersey Scoops. I'm excited to see it.
The Jersey Scoops, if I get word to mention, I would be remiss not to. We actually didn't have any team members before Jersey Scoops. So we were doing everything on farm. So as far as eggs and the beef and the dairy, no employees.
And deliveries?
Doing deliveries every Sunday, farmer's market every Saturday. Mostly just eggs and beef for 2 years. And that was the ramp up opportunity while our son was 3. So we had just adopted him. It took 3 years to go through that process. It was supposed to be like 6 months.
Wow.
It took 3 years. And then we launched Jersey Scoops.
So Jersey Scoops, it's going to be a large investment of time and energy for you and Cody.
Yeah.
Is your Foggy Bottom Boys team prepared for this?
Yeah, actually, they're probably more prepared than we are.
You're like, oh, they're going to be fine. I don't know. You know, like we're
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to hear. I like that.
Yeah. They've got it figured out. We keep them once a week at least. We try at least twice a month, if not. We're meeting with our management team, and we have predefined roles for individuals as we grow. So in that concept of knowing essentially who's going to be doing what components in what places and what parts is not determined by us so much as it is as the team to sort out what the aspirations are on a financial pro forma and versus the actual physical operations in production, as well as in delivery, et cetera. Because for our operation as a vertical integrated operation, really distributing here locally, we had the opportunity and we've done everything that we possibly can to control that component all the way through from the soil to the sale. So anything that we put on to our soil as a fertilizer comes from us. The feed that is going into our cows and the bunks when they get alfalfa in the wintertime is feed that we grow on Cock Robin Island throughout the summertime in the most regenerative, economic, ecologically beneficial way that you can possibly think of, including no irrigation, no-till, self-tap rooted into the mouth of the Eel River. It's astonishing. But then all the way to the sale. So I just pulled up here after doing some deliveries to the co-op because we've been selling out ice cream after the competition in our zero emissions delivery fleet. That's where it ended.
So the competition off the bat is giving you some
for
marketing.
Sure.
That's good to hear.
Oh, for sure. Okay. Which is what we've typically operated off of. Actually, is a lot of just word of mouth.
Yeah.
I have a question. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. You have many. You have a couple of different businesses that you run, correct? How many businesses or IP do you have?
Yeah.
Well,
I'll answer the first one. I'll answer the first one. I won't tell you about how many IPs that I have, but
well, like how much, like how many businesses are you running?
Yeah, I was a joke too, so don't worry,
Andrew.
I don't have too many more ideas up my sleeve, but yeah. So the farm is first, right? And so if you were to categorize that in a business sense or your taxes, which here we are operating in societal terms and framework in which we've decided together collectively, one might say, democratically, I'm not sure at this point, but ultimately what we see is that the farm is the farm, right? So anything that goes into the production of the farm remains the farm and should be in that kind of silo. And then after that, it's processing. So right now, Foggy Bottoms Boys and Jersey Scoops is a DBA, and Foggy Bottoms Boys does the processing, does the marketing and distribution, and Jersey Scoops as a DBA does the processing component for our ice cream. But like Foggy Bottoms Boys does the processing for eggs, right? And so that's on-farm washing. And then we send our beef off to Wairika to start harvest. And they do a bang-up job up there, the USDA processing plant, and doing really great ethical practices and regenerative practices and low emissions and low footprint practices that we agree with and value. And they do an amazing job on creating that product. So that's outsourced. So it's all about managing those different entities. Ultimately, what we'd love is to have a farming entity, a processing entity, and then a marketing and distribution entity.
Okay, and then this is my second question. Sorry, I meant to say entities instead of intellectual property.
Oh, okay.
But are you guys an S corp?
Not yet.
Okay, no, but are you guys going to be transitioning into that?
You have. I think it's like 75 or 90 days before the next season's filing. You have to declare.
Okay.
So this year is going to be like tiptoeing up to that line, trying to figure out, gosh, is this the year? Is this the time?
Yeah.
So it really depends on a tax strategy. It depends on a employment strategy. It depends on a deployment strategy. So there's a lot of things that are going into that.
You really got to break down the numbers and figure out if it's worth it, if it's worth the time and money investment. And if you want to do that, you can come on down to your local small business development center and receive free one-on-one advising. And that advisor can work with you to figure out what the best legal structure is for your business.
Is that where we are right now?
That is where we are.
Oh, wow. Is it Startup Humboldt?
Yeah,
NorCal SBDC?
Yes.
Apex Accelerator? What else is going on here?
Shout out Apex Accelerator.
Behind the Redwood
Hey, Taylor.
curtain. Yeah, behind the Redwood curtain happens here too.
That's
so,
right. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, is that right here?
Yeah, I don't know if you knew that, but yeah, we're actually, But I was going to say, what do you guys run your entities as right now? LLCs, LLPs? Is it just one?
LLCs. Yeah. Just two.
You can, an LLC and an S corp aren't mutually exclusive. You can have.
That's true.
Yeah. So are you paying a crap ton of money right now to the franchise tax board?
Yes. Yes.
Everybody hates that.
I hate it.
I appreciate it more than I realize. This year we didn't anticipate, or this last year we didn't anticipate the sales growth in the last part of the year that we didn't typically see. And so we weren't too worried about the next threshold. But I got like a $6,000 bill, at the end because we breached into that next bracket. So that was not fun.
Yeah.
It's just not planned, right? You can deal with it when you know what you're anticipating, but we were not anticipating.
Yeah, like you guys buy like 5 more trucks or whatever, and then boom, another $6,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, this episode is sponsored by AAA Productions, a Humboldt County video production company helping businesses create strategic, professional video content. If you've been wanting to start making video to grow your socials but don't know where to begin, AAA Production offers consultation and customized production packages to help you build a sustainable content strategy. Use the links below to get started today. Thank you, and back to the show.
What are you going to do with the money, or what would you like to do with the money?
Great question. To be clear, the family is operating the farm, team operates the processing distribution.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
yeah. So, and marketing. So what we have planned with the funding as far as milestone based, which is yet to be determined. So it's a little early probably for us to have the conversation, but it is to invest in our marketing and brand awareness in the San Francisco Bay Area, as that was our charge and declaration at the Startup Humboldt competition, is to get our lactose-free ice cream down to the Bay Area. So there's a higher concentration of folks that are lactose-free in the Bay Area than I would say most anywhere else in California.
That's a good market. Yeah,
it's the perfect market to be. But it was all planned, right? So it wasn't like, oh, we got the lactose-free ice cream, so now we need to do it. We knew we were lactose-free, so we knew that we were going to be able to enjoy our product, and as well as the 6 different businesses that we're working with to launch that collaboration, and what will be many more flavors after that. But ultimately, as far as what we will spend it on, is various things at this point. So vehicle wraps, so we can get some of that brand awareness when we're actually driving around and dropping stuff off at Molly Stone's and Oliver's and all the other grocery stores. And then there's a Castro market down there too, so a little bit of promotion for that. The opportunity for us to do some in-store ad buys. So like they have their own little pamphlets and coupons and things. So the opportunity to do that is pretty clear, a need to participate in some stores. They're natural independent grocery stores is where our target is. Mm-hmm. And those stores don't charge for shelf space. If you're talking about a big box store, they actually charge for shelf space. So if you're thinking about launching nationwide for Whole Foods, $60,000 right off the bat as a slot fee. And that's no guarantee, right? Then you have to spend at least another $30,000 in advertising or coupon buybacks of some sort. So there's a huge chunk that comes right off the top before you even launch into those organizations. Mm-hmm. And our goal is to have big swings, but calculated. And in the case of operating and going down to San Francisco, it's really just about making sure that our brand awareness is about there. And instead of 35% in distribution fees, we just have a 10% expense. And myself and another driver, which is part of the funds that we hope to deploy, is getting a driver for this area so that I can focus on driving down to the Bay once a week.
Mm-hmm.
What would you guys ever think about automating that a little bit? Maybe hiring somebody to deliver down to the Bay Area?
Yeah. So as previously mentioned, it's me first. Like I have to do the job to see it, to be aware of it, to know the intrinsic qualities. And then my overcritical and analytical mind, as my husband would say, gets to create those efficiencies. So instead of, say, leaving at 6 a.m. and then getting down there and then hitting rush hour traffic because someone didn't calculate for the fact that we had 4 deliveries somewhere in between, and Bob really wanted to talk and take a picture and do all the fun things, then you leave at 5 a.m. To make that route. And so those small things save a lot of time, a lot of resources if you're acutely aware of all those details. And I often am acutely aware of those details.
I think it's great that you're doing it yourself. Alexander the Great was very famous for leading his armies in front, and he was in the front of the charge, and people admired him for that. And so I think that you going and taking on the job yourself before telling other people to do it is very admirable and very smart, because when you do it yourself, you learn the exact process, and it definitely puts you in more of a position to tell someone else how to do it, write an SOP for it, because you've done it yourself. You have experience. You can, be like, yeah, I did that run 15 times. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's very admirable that you're taking the helm with your business, and you're leading in the front. I love that style.
I'm glad you appreciate the style.
Yeah.
I've been challenged a lot in the business world for taking that on that way, just so you're aware. I want to share that. Yeah. And mostly it's because you can either hire to grow or you can grow to hire. So you can find someone and pay someone the value that they're worth with the experience that they already have. And that pretty well guarantees you success with that wisdom and experience and skill set that someone has. And it shortens up that time of experimentation and in the growth stage. But it does two things. It one allows someone else's experience and insight to capture that environment and knowledge only through their lens versus any perceived or non-perceived biases that they might have, which sometimes can be a very positive thing. But it also doesn't allow you the time to grow on the runway or the anticipated schedule that you have. So initially, our motto was slow, organic growth. And now it's strategic organic growth. Sometimes that slow piece, if you want to get caught up on it, it's like you're going to lose some opportunities.
That was a good switch.
Yeah. And then on the strategic side, it's like, okay, Strait of Hormuz is closed. I've got a plastic item that I am going to need to buy that I'm going to need 4 months from now.
Is that a real
this is right now
that you're facing?
They just showed up. 9 pallets of milk crates showed up today. Oh. And this was 6 weeks ago. I was like, okay, Strait of Hormuz is closed. This could be bad. Petrochemical, look it up, figure out what byproduct it is, see what's used in milk crates, call a supplier up and say, hey, where do you get your pellets from? How does this work? Oh, wow, you actually make your own pellets. How do you do that? It's a refinery across the street, blah, 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 blah. Learn out the whole details, figure out the supply chain. And you realize that within 2 weeks, they're probably going to have a price increase. Matter of fact, your call actually spurs the conversation internally about that price increase and when that's going to happen. So you pull the trigger and you buy those crates because 2 weeks from now, it's going to be 25% more. And so understanding all those details and having that insight and that forethought is a really key important component.
Yeah, I'm pretty bummed because like with the AI craze as well, solid state drives and RAM is going up at the moment, and I'm bummed because I should have pulled the trigger. I should have bought 4 of those damn SSDs.
Well, then you have to say, so if you're putting it on a credit card, right? Okay, is it 0 interest credit card? That's great. You've got 4 months left on your card, and okay, I'll make the payments monthly for 4 months and it'll be 0. Or it's 21% compounded. So if me buying it now with the prediction market saying that it's going to go up by 21% on a non-compounded basis, does that mean it's valuable now to me, or am I going to be able to execute on that and is it going to get me further along in that process or that flow? You have to. I wish I should put it into a program or something.
Yeah, that's really smart. But like for example, like when I bought my hard drive, it was $400. Now it's $1,000. So
probably would have been worth it.
Yeah, I could have bought like 2 or 3 of those for $400, and what was it? Buy once, cry once, or something. Yeah, and I would have been fine now, but I'm bummed. I hope it goes down.
Well, it's not. It won't.
No,
not for at least 2.5 years.
True.
At least, and that's because I'm sorry to
go ahead,
just share a little bit of insight here on that,
that
because I haven't bought my computers either, and I'm also like frustrated,
Yeah.
and I've been looking for weeks, months, because we need some upgrades. It's the computer chip manufacturer that needs the machine to make the computer chips, and that's what's behind. Certainly, it's silicon and copper.
Are you guys Windows or Mac users?
We're a combination of both. So we use Boot Camp for some production procedures and programs that can only be run on Windows.
That's good.
But primarily on Mac.
Yeah, Windows seems really good for like the back end, like operational stuff, whereas Macs are good for like need to be on the go. You need something fast and quiet. And it's good for like, creative stuff. So like marketing, for example, or just like you can still do most of your operations. Like if you're traveling, like on a Mac.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. And like the ones that are stationary for a reason, because you can't really travel with that, So yeah, that's really cool that you guys do that.
We use a combination of both SaaS or cloud-based and desktop. So we typically have both in some case, so that if we need to be on the go, we can access it all.
Yeah. I wanted to kind of pivot to some financial questions since we're kind of still on this topic. And then I want to get into the Startup Humboldt talk because that's the main event of our show here. So Foggy Bottoms boys, and I guess all of your LLCs combined, what's the most that you guys have made in a single month? Most
is in August. And that's because it's prime event season, prime ice cream season. I think it was just over 100,000.
Wow!
In ice cream alone.
Is this past August?
Yeah, 2025.
So just for context, we like to ask business owners like some of the figures that they've pulled running their businesses to prove that it's possible to run a successful business in Humboldt County. So for the audience and for you as well.
Yeah.
So just so like if that's okay with you.
Oh, it's super helpful. To know, right?
Yeah.
So
it was great sales. That month actually wasn't profitable.
Really?
But yeah, just
wait.
Whoa. We're gonna we're gonna get into that. Let me work.
Yeah, you cook.
How much was your gross revenue in 2025, and how much of that was profit?
Okay,
you can give me ballpark figures. I don't need.
Yeah. So I think it was like 750,000, and we actually, let's see. We're still cash based. We're not accrual. So it was like some of the things we spent for the next season.
Oh yeah.
I think we came to a total of like $20,000 in profit if you take out the expenses that were meant for the next season, or expenses on things and equipment that weren't actually put into use. That's another tax thing to be aware of. You can spend money, but unless you actually have that product in use.
So you had a lot of expenses investing into the next season.
Gotcha. A lot of what we do is it's seasonal, so we have to prepare for the next season.
And then, do you pay yourself a salary? How much? And does Cody get a salary as well?
Yeah, Cody's taken care of on the farm side. I get I would call a stipend of a good job for showing up stipend. And right now it's about $500 a month, so it's not a lot.
Okay.
But
do you guys take owner draws, or is that?
That's it. Yeah, that's what it essentially is.
Well, if you don't mind sharing, what was your total owner draw between you and Cody, both together? What was your guys' total owner draw?
$12,000.
Wow, good for you guys.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah.
I mean, the farm has a house, right? We're blessed with that. We have wood heating.
You got your living situation.
Yep. That's on the farm.
Good, yeah.
So
that's my most expensive thing. So,
it's for everyone. And
So-
food, we grow a lot of our own food. We go to the farmer's market and barter for leeks and tomatoes and salads. And
So you guys are really self-sustainable and don't really rely on money to get by.
yeah, we really try to. I mean, we have good health, have a health savings account to help us pay for that. So
Good.
You don't need a lot of money to eat healthy. You just have to like buy,
Yeah.
like produce at the grocery store is like actually not that expensive.
I mean, I won't go deep into the details and the argument of preventative healthcare expense because it's really challenging for me to offer that advice, knowing not specifically for your listeners, but for anyone, is that it takes a lot to actually get into a place to where you're not worried about where your next meal is coming from. Especially as a college student, right? And getting out and going into the workforce and things, or even want to do your own thing. But to that point, we're in habits, we're in habitual cycles. So it's whatever is the most convenient, whatever is the easiest. Certainly we have our Costco runs like once a month to supplement and things that we can't get otherwise, or certainly throughout the winter, it's a lot more challenging. But overall, it does require a certain ascent of sort into privilege. I mean, ultimately, you have to have going to the farmer's market. I already go there, so like I can do it. For someone to be able to drive to the farmer's market that didn't have the opportunity to do so, for someone to be able to know and contemplate and deploy, even if they have other health challenges, to be able to afford the food first and then wane and wean off of the other food that is addictive because it's been made that way. Mm-hmm. Think about Marlboro buying all of our food companies. They've done it this way on purpose.
I very recently in my life started eating more clean.
Yeah, that's the term. Yeah.
I don't do. I'm off the fast food.
Nice.
Eat just meat, vegetables. I'll eat bread, but I'm not. I try to stay away from the donuts and the So I found that my energy. I wake up in the morning. I have more energy. I have more life. It's like. I've gone from having 10 hours of productivity to 14 hours of productivity every day. And it changes your life. And that's one of the big benefits that I have about living in Humboldt is I think it's changed. I'm originally from SoCal. I've been able to adopt a cleaner diet and it's done wonders for me. So
that's the benefit right there. People ask us all the time, we don't know how you do it. We only see what you post, and I'm sure that's not all of what you do. And it's about taking care, eating well, resting. We're gonna rest soon.
I'm trying to do better on that. The sleep is that's a tough one because there's just a billion things I want to do and that aren't sleep. And so that's a tough one.
Our son is forcing us to recreate too, which is great.
That's good.
Getting out and going to the beach and hikes and stuff like that.
It's important to be well balanced, and I think that it's admirable. That you are willing to. You probably could take home more money and invest less in the business if you wanted to.
Oh, sure.
But you're definitely choosing based on those numbers to reinvest into the business.
That's right.
Tell me why is that important to you? And what is everybody on your team like? Is everybody on the team and the family like on board with reinvest more? Let's tell me about that.
Great question. And what I can answer is from day to day. So I think when I looked at my project list, we've got 22 different projects happening right now. And those 22 different projects, they vary in size, right? So they can be something as large as a $125,000 startup in which you have to spend 5 to 7 hours every week from January until March or April 23rd to be committed to the opportunity. That was something that I shared with family early and said hey, this is something that's real, but who knows what comes out of it. Otherwise, we'll be able to share that we were a part of it. And if we're lucky enough to be on stage, then we get the benefit of more eyes on what we're doing and the product that we have. So we definitely share all aspects of it. Between Cody and I, we hold the dynamic of being able to execute those things, so being able to pull those things back or move those things forward. but everybody's aware of the goals that we have and what we want to accomplish in the various different brands and category spaces. We just got done, as another example, with one of those projects is launching or supporting Dick Taylor chocolate with their fudge pops that they used to do. So we just acquired some of that equipment, and we're going to do that for ourselves too, popsicles and whatnot. But we've got that as far as a project and product to offer folks.
Look forward to trying it.
They're really delicious.
Yeah,
I mean, if you've ever had them before, you'll know exactly why we chose to do it. But
I want to touch back on what Luke just said before he asked you that question about having some sort of balance. And I get it, you kind of have to, but there is this take, I would say, or this opinion that there is no work-life balance. Is that true? And what do you think about that?
I think it can be true if you let it become that. For me, it's actually understanding what that balance is and what balance you want to actually have. So for me, I'd actually like to work every day 3 hours a day instead of working every day 12 hours a day. So my goal is to slowly roll back that amount of time every single day. Others want to do 9 to 5. I know plenty of business owners and operators that want to be in it every single day. But what I see in my life is the needs as we grow, as well as the on-farm and family responsibilities. I would see myself being the best trad wife that there ever was. I really don't like to cook. I don't like to clean, but I would love the responsibility of it. I would love to be able to keep the home operating because I know my husband loves to be out with the animals and supporting the farm. And I know that the people that we work with want to do their roles and jobs and continue exploring and gaining those skills. And whatever I can do to provide them with those resources to make those things easier is my job. And so if I do my job well in providing those resources, then that work-life balance of getting to a 3 hour a day early in the morning, clearest mind possible work schedule, then that's ultimately my work-life balance, is being able to achieve that.
And do you think now that things are ramping up for you guys that that's further out, or are you guys going to look into strategically allocating the, say, $20 an hour tasks so you guys can continue focusing on the $1,000 an hour tasks to work towards that 3 hour workday?
That's exactly it.
Okay.
I mean, really, it's the concept of buying back your time, and to support the team to do the same. So whatever tools we can get to make their job more consistent and easier, we will continue to deploy those and find a way to achieve those things. So some in automation, as far as a filling machine that we have coming, that's going to achieve great opportunities for R&D, research and development for our production team, which they really do. I mean, today it was Patch's cinnamon rolls. I can't even, I'm getting chills, and I can't even eat the darn thing. Patch's cinnamon rolls made into French toast with our eggs, chopped up and then put back into ice cream. It's like, holy smokes. And they've been working on this one for months.
Yeah, wow.
But the smell was just delectable. But if they have more time because of the filling efficiency, then they can work on more of those projects and things that bring them joy.
Do you guys use AI, and are you implementing that into automation?
Yeah, we do every day. What we use it for strategically is taking things that we have as a suck on time and deploy it with creating tools that buy back that time. So whether or not it's in a physical form that is ran through a SaaS system, there's an analog component that we have in case that never exists. And not because we anticipate it never going to exist, that doesn't really seem to be the case. But from an empathetic values component, we know that we say please and thank you in there because we're training an entity of some sort. And we need to make sure that whatever we're training has those values in kindness as well. That's Mo Gadot, Scary Smart. You can read it. It's very great. However, when it comes to, for me, the ecological impacts, and say the Dalles, Oregon, where my grandparents are from, are nearby, and the first large Google server in 2006, I think, was built, and the impacts ecologically that you could measure post pre-operation and post deployment are vast, and they're seeking through federal government to do the same thing, and taking some headwaters from Mount Hood. Knowing where that place is and the amount of water in which they're trying to extract in pursuit of something that has a 3-year shelf life as far as a server is concerned. Don't worry, some of those things, 2.5 years, yeah, but those servers are going to come off market, and then they're going to need to do something with it, and you'll have some silicon there. But it's 3 years. That's what those server lifespans are.
As soon as you buy a piece of technology, it's immediately outdated, and that's what's drowning the AI bubble right now.
Yeah, right. That's where it will, in my prediction, that's where it will fracture. And so ultimately, I think that you have the computational speed of quantum computing maxed out with general intelligence. We're going to see that reduction in environmental challenges. I'm taking advantage of the opportunity. We've probably put in a good $135,000, $140,000 worth of output with a $20 subscription. So versus having to go to a consultant or going to a consultant and asking for advice, or going to another person in the industry and asking for, generalized inputs and numbers to be able to base some assumptions off of, is where we've started to utilize those tools, mostly in a financial space. On the art creative side, we don't use it. That's not something that we agree with. And certainly as far as intellectual property, we're very mindful about where those things are coming from to the best of our abilities. But ultimately, it's a max benefit for the human race if we're computing this correctly, and we're going to regulate, which absolutely necessarily it needs to happen and is necessary. But it's figuring out how and what components and when and in which way. And then in the measure, what I've also explained is yes, it's done this way with AI. However, there's an analog component that if it doesn't exist, we're not reliant upon it.
Yeah, I like to keep a paper copy of everything I do because a mentor taught me to always have a paper copy, so in case the power goes out,
backup.
I can still run my business. But the only thing that sucks about that is I can't get my videos.
Can't get your audio. Can't get your video. Can't paper copy that.
But I can still write
VHS. I mean, can you?
I don't know. I mean, if I have it stored locally on a hard drive, yes. But how would I be able to access that without power? So that would be gone.
I mean, don't get me started on that.
We can have a whole other podcast.
It's big.
Yeah.
EMP.
Electromagnetic pulses. Yeah.
That's 1940s, I think, is when our telemetrics are, what do you call that? I can't even think. But
I'm not sure.
Yeah, you really have no idea. The little tapper, I can't even think of it.
No, I don't know.
That
communications.
Morse code.
Well, essentially.
Oh yeah, more. Yeah. We might be a little
before
outdated.
postcards, but
yeah.
Let's get into all those telephone lines. All those lines dropped when one EMP. What happens when we have chips? Right? Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. I'm Luke Kennedy, building manager at Startup Humboldt. Behind the Redwood Curtain is recorded and produced at Startup Humboldt. Startup Humboldt is a co-working space mentorship hub for entrepreneurs building real businesses here on the North Coast. You can learn more at startuphumboldt.com.
All right, it's time for our main event.
Let's
talk about Startup Humboldt.
Okay.
So, first question to kick it off. What was it like whenever you heard about it, maybe September, maybe November, maybe December, maybe January, to now that you won the #1 prize?
Yeah, it was so illuminating to be able to participate in the process all the way from ideation of the competition itself, really, knowing that Samantha was doing this outreach, and I was seeing all this outreach all over the community and everything that was being shared about the competition itself, to participating with the contestants and those that were competing. It was just so illuminating because in my mind, I'm trying to solve problems all the time. no matter if I'm driving around, I'm either solving my problems or thinking about other worldly problems I have no control over, but think it's great to have the influence and understanding. But it was a great overlap in my time with Redwood Region Rise, which was just coming out of a cooperative opportunity to work with other organizations and solving those problems and challenges, mostly on an NGO, non-governmental organization space and some business, but often attached to nonprofit. So coming into this space and back into the business world, which I've gone in between university, agency, nonprofit, private, back and forth, and then finally landing on owning something ourselves, it was really illuminating to see others drive and their willingness to participate and sacrifice every single day, and see those that have just gotten started and don't know what that looks like yet and are fresh-faced and bushy-tailed, ready to go, because I'm certainly there most days, but to see them not having gone through the challenges and not having to see the peaks of the joys.
The war wounds.
The wounds, yeah, for sure. And so it really brought a lot of joy to me to see folks participating in that way, folks that have had multi-generation family businesses or working within their family to operate their business and asking their questions, or folks that have just an idea. And from just an idea standpoint, there was 3 businesses that I know started with that just an idea that are now working with SBDC outside the competition to find funding and really moving that forward. So among the 108, I think, that ended up starting on that initial journey, there's so many folks that learn so much in such a quick period of time. So I have just enamored and illuminated the whole process of being able to come into courses and workshops and demonstrations and then follow up one-on-one mentor sessions. I already had Charlie Jordan with Kinetic Coffee as my SBDC advisor, so it was a quick remembrance for us. Like, oh yeah, hey, I haven't talked to you like in 6 months. What's going on? Because that was part of the challenge, was working with an SBDC advisor. And so that was another great welcome, just to put her back in the Rolodex of people to communicate with more often and to have more conversations with.
Do you feel like you're more encouraged because you get to partner with other local business owners, not just Charlie? Like, it seems like you partner with Dick Taylor Chocolate, all these different business owners locally. Is that something that's rewarding? Is that something that you enjoy about this business journey?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. It's really great to connect with people that are in the same industry. It's even better when you're working somebody in the same commodity. In the case of Charlie, we have a love for food. We have a love for feeding people and providing energy and joy. So that's what we work with each other really well. In general, it's really nice to be able to have a conversation or ask a question and hear, I don't know the answer to that, but I will find someone who does. Because a lot of your time as a business owner can be spent trying to search for answers or trying to search for a solution. Having somebody on your side to walk you through that process and to support you on the back end is really helpful.
Do you feel like, as a business owner, do you feel like you've got it figured out, or do you feel like there's still a lot to learn, or maybe somewhere in between?
The more I know, the less I know.
Yeah. That's how it feels sometimes.
Every day for me, I've learned to embrace it. So I can be certain about specific topics or numbers or proof points or any valid experiential opportunity. But as soon as I know it myself, the X factors change, or the deeper the opportunity or the vein of knowledge goes.
I got a question. So you studied business in Denver. Mm-hmm. Was that college degree valuable for what you're doing today? Was that a valuable investment? Is the college degree today still worth it?
Yes, and yes. It depends on what you want to do, I certainly think. My personal opinion is academia has not yet caught up with the real world environment in which is enveloping. And I say that from K through post-secondary education. and that it's going to take a lot longer and a lot more resources to be able to craft what that looks like. If there was an opportunity for me to educate my son at home with other young people on the farm and in a more experiential environment, I would absolutely love to take that opportunity. But knowing full well what community has to offer and working with people and learning from people as the human condition requires us, it's a lot more fun to do it that way. And you probably are going to gain a heck of a lot more, and you're probably going to be a heck of a lot more nicer to be around because you create an empathetic value that you can't by doing it alone. And in that expression, I hold this opinion myself. My husband says absolutely not. Public school all the way, which I certainly agree with too. But it is the rapid pace of the world changing that is the concern. And how do you adapt to that rapid pace of the world, as well as leaning into the individual's opportunities that they express early on in life. So as far as business and marketing, knowing who I was, at least from my self-observed stance and others telling me, someone could have definitely said I was doing something in promotions or sales because I can speak to people by knowing very little about, most of the time just asking questions. And oftentimes I find myself at the middle point of two genuine conversational topics and people not seeing a shared pool of understanding. And that's where conflict often arises, just not having a shared pool of understanding to start with, and then branching out past there. But on the case of education, I wouldn't have gotten a critical conversation training if I hadn't attended school, right? And that's where I know this shared pool of understanding. I wouldn't have been able to be with some of my adjunct professors at Johnson & Wales universities who are actively in business or participating as an ex-CEO or C-suite advisor or position while they were teaching us what was happening in the real world at the same time. So it depends on the degree, it depends on the university or the educational rigor of the department in which you're trying to achieve. So for me, it was absolutely worth it, and the path that I chose. Really because I got a full tuition scholarship. Yeah. But I chose it because it was really right for me. And it gave me the world exposure that I didn't have when I was coming from rural Union, Eastern Oregon.
We had that conversation with a past guest. Do you know S.K. Lee?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Link in description to go watch that episode, by the way. We asked her some stuff about, like, is a college degree worth it? I mean, we ask all our guests that, but and then we were asking, like, why can't they change it to speed up to the modern world? And she said that it's hard to do that. It's harder, or it's easier said than done, because those values in public schools were institutionalized during the Industrial Revolution.
That's right.
So changing that is hard to do now, especially because they were already core values in the 1800s.
Yeah.
But I think, like maybe there could have been a better job at, changing it. And a lot of the things that we need to know today, like, aren't taught in school. And, like, most of the things that I've learned is by doing instead of just sitting in a classroom and, drawing in my notebook.
Yeah.
And I just think like for like charter schools, for example, like, you can write your own rules. Like, you can have a finance class, but you're not taught that. And then there's this whole, like, conspiracy, like, maybe that's on purpose because the elites want to keep people like us down and, poor forever. They don't want us to beat the system, basically, that they've implemented. So yeah, that's just a conspiracy theory. Conspiracy, it's not my opinion. That's just what I've heard. Yeah, it's not me.
No, all good. Yeah, it's the accreditation process. And then those college board bodies that exist as independents, as with many things that we're seeing changing right now in the United States, are based off of a lot of assumptions and a lot of norms, societal norms, that are being challenged. National Academy of Science, I believe, just lost all of their 25 directors.
Whoa.
Just one fell swoop underneath the administration.
Whoa.
Who knows what's going to happen with that or why that was done. But in the case of the industrial era and the revolution and how that was taking place, that put into force not high wage, high skilled jobs. It was just really manufacturing work. And so everything from counting to articulating size dimensional space and requirements really came down to something that made sense on a factory floor. So we need to change that. It's a dynamic opportunity. So you're speaking to the charter school or a Montessori approach to where you get to envelop a topic or an understanding or a desired drive or passion, and you get to explore that more, kind of self-directive. And I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, we had the conversation as well about like AI being implemented into teachings, but we also had Dr. Keith Flamer, president of CR, on the podcast, and he told us that it's hard to implement a program like that because, like the real world, AI is ever changing. Like what's going on today will change tomorrow, and that's kind of like with the going back to the server talk that we had. As soon as you buy it, it's outdated. So it's hard to implement these new systems because, say, Cal Poly and CR were teaching AI in 2022, like since 2022, and haven't changed it. Everybody learning about how to prompt AI, whatever, blah, 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 would be negated because ChatGPT 1.0 is different from ChatGPT 5.5 or whatever is out right now. So,
and unfortunately, CSU system spent $14 million on ChatGPT. I think that was the wrong decision, but whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, they were trying to get ahead of the ball, but they just chose the wrong player.
Side note about that, I did not fall for that because I did not want them tracking what I was using AI for in school. So.
Interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, that was another thing there. Do you guys want to get into a rapid fire round?
Rapid fire.
Yeah.
Rapid fire.
We got a few minutes left.
Yeah. Okay, so we have 2 rounds. You approved of both, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
If we can squeeze them.
Yeah. Do you want to do
Yeah, I'll do
first
round
one?
one.
Okay. All right, so we got round 1. You want to explain the rules?
Okay, so it's true or false, or you can skip if you do not want to answer with the true or false. And at the end of this 10, we can go back down from the top and explain and go over any of them that you would like.
Great.
Or 20 because there's 2 rounds.
Yeah. We'll do like
We can break it up. That's
Yeah, we'll
fine.
break it up. So yeah, this first round is going to be a little more heated than the second round. But I don't know. I think it'll be good for content.
I'm ready.
It's just for content, by the way.
This content,
Yeah, this
purely.
Let's get to it. Question 1. Running a farm today requires more business skill than agricultural skill.
True.
The local business environment in Humboldt County is more competitive than most people realize.
False.
Small farms should think bigger and more commercially.
False.
The county prioritizes preservation over building a thriving economy.
True.
If you had to start Foggy Bottom Boys over again, would you do it in Humboldt County?
True. Yes.
Is word of mouth in your industry more powerful than digital marketing?
True.
At some point, you considered shutting Foggy Bottom Boys down.
Yes.
Community expectations shape your business decisions more than pure profit considerations.
Absolutely 100% true.
You've turned down growth opportunities because they didn't fit your values.
True.
Humboldt's anti-growth mindset holds back local agriculture more than it protects.
True.
Ooh, okay. All right.
I've got a lot that I want to. Can I just run through?
Yeah.
I'll
make it
Where do you
quick.
want? No, you take your time. Where do you want to start?
I was going to go right from the top. So, 1, apologies to my husband.
I was thinking that same thing. I was like, oh gosh, now I don't.
Yeah,
I wish I didn't write it like that.
It's all good. It's all good. And he knows it too, because on the business side of things, it used to be the ability to farm meant that your inputs in general were succeeded by a windfall of some sort of profits, of some sort of consistent gain. And in the case of what we've experienced in the dairy industry, is it's an ebb and a flow. It's an up and a down, and sometimes it's self-imposed. When I say self-imposed, meaning the milk price is up, you milk more cows, the milk you get too much milk, and then the price goes down, and so we continuously do that to ourselves. Yeah. Right. But we don't control it collectively. We control it pretty individualistically, and even the large cooperatives, they take advantage of those high milk prices and milk it for all it's worth, pun intended. And then they have the control to shut it off too. So it's very interesting.
And by you guys, you mean big ag versus small local?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah, multinational corporations.
Okay. And then,
or even smaller, medium-sized companies do the same thing because they have the awareness and enough market share to contribute. But local business environment, more competitive. So when I say false on that, it's because competition is a good thing. So, of course, like what we have as another ice cream brand that was in the Startup Humboldt competition, Throat Punch, that's an amazing thing because he's looking for a co-packer. And guess what I want to do? Co-pack. So there's a great opportunity for doing that. And you're not going to necessarily take away from each other's business in the same way in the value. Maybe it's 5%, but you're gaining 50% because
co-opetition.
That's exactly it.
See how you can build a win-win there. I love that.
Oh yeah, triple bottom line.
That's what Canadips does. They pack for other pouch companies too. Yeah,
that's right.
They use Canadips' proprietary technology to help other brands out. So it's a win-win for both.
It's totally a win. So for small farms thinking bigger and more commercially, I would have said yes if more commercially wasn't there. So commercially to me says you get a brand promoter and a distribution company and you set up that way. We don't have, depending on the resource economy, we don't necessarily have all those resources available to us in Humboldt County. So oftentimes that means bringing things in. And when you have to bring in a large quantity of any one thing, it impedes upon your profitability. Yeah. And so depending on what that is, as far as added value is concerned, you can make that added value pretty simple and do bigger things, really permeating more of the market, but not have to succeed that way in a commercial way.
You don't need to dump money into marketing to succeed.
You don't need to. You can. It doesn't mean that you're going to get an ROI on it. Let's see. As far as preservation versus a thriving economy, there is a lot of non-perceived biases of achieving status quo because it's what we're most comfortable with in our county. And I think that's a lot of preservationists.
That's a whole nother podcast by itself.
Totally, for sure. But I really appreciate the people that are standing up to do the work every day, even though they're challenged with it and faced with it, with an inch of their face every single day, and so they can't see, the forest through the trees. But
number 5 was another one that stood out. You said true to this one, correct?
Yeah.
Where would you have done it? Texas or Florida?
No, you said you would, right?
No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't.
Oh, you wouldn't?
No, I would. I would. Wait, if I had to do it over, would I start? Yeah, I would do it in Humboldt.
Oh,
absolutely.
Okay, that's what I thought you said.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't. If I were to do it somewhere else, it's probably somewhere on the coast of Oregon. But I let the wind kind of take me and
the opportunity struck here.
Yeah. Well,
would you guys ever want to move? For
No.
tax reasons?
No. God. I mean, if it got egregious, then maybe. I mean, it is pretty egregious now, but we've benefited from understanding what those things are and the purposes in which they exist and the benefit that's back to the community. So
the brand, on that. The branding is attached to the land and the history.
Exactly.
True. Yeah. How about the
so I think word of mouth is more powerful in our industry.
I think most people would agree
in
with
most
that.
industries. It's about making sure that people talk about it. One thing that my professor said in marketing class was that your job is to get people to talk about what your product is or what your solution is. Because people will see a flashy billboard or they'll see a commercial and they can breeze right on by it and not even say a second thing. 1 in 10 people are going to have a bad experience, and they're going to tell 10 people about it. But 9 people are going to have a great experience. You might tell 1 person about it. So word of mouth is very powerful.
100%.
Yeah.
Is number 7 a story you can share with us?
So really, Foggy Bottoms Boys was starting out as chicken eggs and then moving into beef right at the pandemic. So 2019 was when we were considering starting to do beef. And in 2019, I was just finishing up working with the fairgrounds. And as far as Foggy Bottoms Boys was concerned, it had to do with time and resource. And then our son that came in February of that last year. So I was like, okay, we've got less than a 1-year-old, and we're doing all of these things. We have a business partner that manages the chickens. He raises the chickens. We buy the eggs from him. We process them. We go off and do our thing. And then he decided that he was going to go get another job and leave the area. So that left us with his debt and his equipment, and we could either buy it or we could just be done. And so it was a lot of conversation and kind of analysis of our long-term plans of what we were trying to accomplish. But ultimately, eggs is what provided enough profit generation to get the ice cream started.
Good. Number 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah, community shapes everything that we do. That's just kind of bottom line.
Yeah, I feel like that's been part of your your mission statement since day one. And I think like even before the competition, I heard about you guys, involved the school and very, very community driven. So.
Yeah, show up when we're asked, as best we possibly can.
Yeah, you can't spell community without word of mouth, right?
That's right. That's right. Or unity, but okay, we'll just leave that one on the table.
Yeah, I like
Number 9 I resonate with, because in our space, I guess the creator space, if somebody comes up and wants to sponsor us, say a casino,
Sure,
and it doesn't align with our expectations, we're going to turn it down, because that's not what we're trying to do, is scam our audience or like promote like a cryptocurrency.
we're not saying we won't turn it down.
It's going to be vetted, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Only if the audience is into gambling.
Nothing
we'll
against
consider it.
casinos. We'll sponsor a casino, especially if it's like Blue Lake or Bear River or one of the local Humboldt, for sure. Yeah.
But back to my point is, like, if something doesn't align with our values, then we're not going to take it. So I resonate with that one for sure.
Yeah, it's 100%.
Yeah. And then, number 10, Humboldt's anti-growth mindset holds back local agriculture more than it protects it.
Yeah, so we've seen the boom and bust happen in agriculture, commodities, most recently cannabis, really well known for forestry and the decimation of the coastal redwoods. It produced a lot of economic outcome, right? Let's not try to not fathom with the fact that San Francisco literally was built on redwoods, right? like literally was built on redwoods. But that doesn't mean that we had to do it that way. There's just a lot of lessons learned, and people are wary of leaning into that too far. And there's got to be a different way to do that. And I would say it's actually more of a deficit mindset. It certainly is anti-growth in some ways, but the deficit is we don't have enough, we can't form enough, we won't be able to, just the negative connotations around any assumption. And truly it's about the cooperation and understanding not only what's available to you as a resource and the things that align in values. It's really just about the growth mindset. So unless you've experienced growth mindset, it's hard to establish a baseline with someone before you get them to the starting point of what growth mindset looks like. Because growth mindset is waking up every morning realizing that the world is on fire and that there's challenges that will soon come to face you with those realities that are on the other side of the globe in some way, and then it will impact you. But the next thought being, okay, and these are the things that I have ahead of me that I need to accomplish for my family and my community. And that part for me, as far as a growth mindset, means that if you succumb to the fears, that's the wolf that you're feeding. If you support the growth and the abundance and the joy that you can have, that's the wolf I'm going to feed every day. That's the fight in me that I'm going to continue to work on.
Thank you for that. That was a good take on that. Yeah. Round two.
Ready?
Yeah. All right. Humboldt County is more self-sufficient than people think.
Yes.
Weather in Humboldt has a bigger impact on your business than regulations do.
Yes, and?
Okay. We'll touch back on that. Local food culture in Humboldt is stronger than in most places you've experienced.
Yes.
Tourism plays a bigger role in Humboldt businesses than locals realize.
Yes, true.
Humboldt's isolation is more of a benefit than a challenge for businesses.
Yes, and. Yeah.
Ferndale/Eel River Valley has a distinct business culture compared to the rest of the county.
Yes.
Seasonal changes make it difficult to operate in agricultural business.
Yes.
Humboldt County customers are loyal and consistent.
True.
It's easier to stand out as a business in Humboldt than in bigger markets.
True.
Most people underestimate how interconnected Humboldt businesses are.
True.
That is very true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there was a couple of yes ands. Let's touch on those.
Yeah. Yeah. So for the weather part, it just depends on the year.
Sure. This
I
year's
mean,
been weird.
And you know, it's going to continue to get more challenging, even if we can control the weather, or when we do, I guess, in that case, and who is actually doing it. So ionosphere, let's just say that. The weather part of it actually impedes on regulation options. So say we have a flood. If that flood goes into a certain part of our property that touches, say, our manure slurry pit, it doesn't actually overlap or overflow or anything that's actually going to cause any, environmental harm. But if it touches that, then there's a whole additional set of steps that require us to report and have a whole full-on report drawn up and regulatory body being present. And if it does overflow or do something otherwise, then it's even more. So it really builds on itself. But the challenge of a weather environment in a living system is if I can guarantee that I'm going to have, say, $100,000 of sales in local organic alfalfa to my other local farmers so they don't have to truck it in from the Klamath Valley or Nevada or well, not Nevada this year, but or other places, and then that's a net benefit for everybody. But if it's a bad year, even in a self irrigation alfalfa stand, if for whatever reason that alfalfa stand doesn't come to life, or there's a flood, and it puts silt over the top of that new growth, and we're not growing anything, well, then I'm relying upon my previous year's alfalfa storage that I have, and then therefore I'm going to be at a large deficit, not only by the feed that I have to buy, but the feed I didn't sell. So there's and in our situation, being self-reliant in a lot of ways, it compounds quickly.
Yeah.
But regulation, damn, there's like 5 different agencies that we have to work with. And I'm not thinking that Palantir's $300 million USDA, one farmer, one account, I think is what they're calling it, is going to solve it for us.
Do you think ag in our county is overregulated?
So the regulations exist primarily for food safety and commodity checkpoints. I believe that it is regulated in a way that has the spirit of the law embodied, but oftentimes is exacerbated by administrative work. And that's truly the challenge. Farmers just want to farm and they want to feed people. And on the business side of farming, I certainly am supporting the ability for the farmer to do that with our work in the administration side. But it's oftentimes the farmer has to end up providing me, my husband has to provide me with the information to be able to complete that work, or he's doing that work for himself because it makes a lot more sense. But
what's the most amount of money you guys have had to pay in regulation fees by natural disaster or something you guys got wrong or on accident? Or?
Yeah, I'd have to find a number, probably $4,000, $4,500, not by any fine, but by a fee for organic or certification or something like that, probably $4,500.
Do you have any final thoughts or advice to entrepreneurs who are starting up either in the ag industry? I don't know if there are any startup ag businesses much, but if there are,
laugh.
They're
oh yeah,
everywhere,
laugh.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Mhm.
What can you say to people like that or people like us who are starting in business and trying to succeed? Like, what advice do you have for them?
Right now, in the time that we're living, it takes well over 25, maybe 50% more than the boomer era to accomplish what you want to accomplish with the tools, with inflation calculation, and just inflation calculations taken in. So to be able to achieve what you want to achieve is going to take a hell of a lot more than anyone that's older than you is going to be able to provide advice. And I say that with love because it does take sacrifice and it does take an unwavering ability to show up every single day. And that doesn't have to happen that way by yourself. Cody and I chose to work primarily on our own within the family dynamics to be able to share and educate intergenerationally and among ourselves as we have grown together over the last 10 plus years as a couple, as a husband team. But it wasn't without a ton of sacrifice. And that is in pursuit of the goal of previously shared of living a more balanced life and something to where we can control and support other families as well as having more understanding and more time to share with one another and be present for one another. And it's a very lofty goal at 3 hours a day. I hope to achieve it because others like me have shared that it takes a lot more. There are some cheat codes. And I would say that in any of the cases of your industry or what you desire to accomplish or just general business relativity of simple overhead hacks, distribution, channels refinement or processing capabilities, find the people that are already doing it and ask about the questions of what would they do different in specificity. You can ask broad stroke questions about things that they do different, but the challenges that you have and you face in the moment or what you're perceiving and you can see coming as far as the breaking points, as Evan would say, what's going to break next? And you're seeing it, sales go up. Okay, all of a sudden customer service needs to be attended to. Knowing what those things are and asking those questions of people that are actively involved in it is probably my best advice. I ask people questions all of the time in the industry.
Well, we thank you for joining us today.
Yeah.
That was great advice. And we look forward to seeing what you do next.
Yeah, we'll look forward to feeding you.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.